In 15 days, we are going to walk into ringing in the new year 2024. What are you going to take with you? Want to dump all the stuff that doesn't serve us, but we want to take in all the things that are helpful and meaningful to us. Well, I'm going to share several things that we talked about this year that I believe is going to be one of the several things that you want to take with you. So stick with me and I'll be right back because we're going to get to it in just one moment. Hi there. Hi there. Welcome to Stress Talk Live. This is the place where we help women over 40 to live healthier lives through strategic stress management and solution focused self care. I'm Marcelyn Bailey and I am your host. I'm so glad that you joined me today. I'm also very grateful that you've been coming every or most Sundays when I'm here all year. I am excited because I committed to doing a live stream consistently, and I've done that. This is our last live stream for this year, but we'll be back next year, 2024, with, I hope, a lot more helpful and strategic information to help you to be healthier, to help you to live healthier lives. That's why I'm here. We don't look just on the surface of things, we go deep to the underlying causes of stress. So, what are we talking about today? Well, let's get to that. But before we get to that, I want to encourage you to follow me on ML Bailey Consultants. Remember, follow me on Instagram, Facebook, as well as YouTube. Also, there's my tap link. That's where I have multiple links to information and resources for you. So make sure you check that link out. What is our topic for today? Our topic for today: 3 key stress talk strategies to start new year 2024. So, what are we talking about here? Well, basically, I wanted to share with you a review of some of the things that we've discussed over the year. And I mean, we've talked about quite a few things. Every month, there was a theme. Yes, we had a theme. But I wanted to share 3 of the key strategies that I believe will carry you into 2024 and will help you to jumpstart your new year in a healthy way. Let's face it, this has been a tough year. Um, and it's just a continuation of what it's been like for many of us since before the pandemic or since the start of the pandemic. You do hear people talking about the pandemic. That was a major event, a worldwide event in all of our lives. The world changed and it continues to change. We are facing things that we've not faced in our lifetime. We are watching um, the world go at each other in ways that is unusual for this lifetime. It's amazing to me to watch some of the things that are happening via the news, some of the things that I'm reading, because it makes one think that the world has gone completely bonkers. The axis has turned, and the world is not spinning like this, it's spinning like this, and it's going downhill. Well, we can't help what is going on in the broader context of the world. But what we can do is focus on ourselves and our immediate environment, right? And so as we go into the next year, the new year, we often, most of us um, approach the new year with optimism and hope and for wonderful things to happen. Well, I believe that we should continue to approach this new year with optimism and hope and faith that things are going to work themselves out in the way that it should, in a way that is best for all of us. So, where do we start with that, right? I want to share these key stress talk strategies because I believe that if we are consistent, if we are strategic, we can affect meaningful health choices in our lives. But not just those surface choices, we can go deep and deal with those things that are preventing us from being healthier, whether that's healthier mentally, spiritually, emotionally, or physically. And so I wanted to share these three key strategies with you today as we're going into the new year. Because again, we can't do anything. Well, we can, but as an individual, we really can't do anything about what's going on in the Middle East right now. And we certainly can't do anything as an individual with what's going on in between Russia and Ukraine. And as an individual, we can't really do anything to affect what's going on in our Congress and in our politics other than vote. Yeah, we need to vote. And yes, we need to talk to our Congress people to express our concerns. Okay, getting back to the topic and the subject at hand, I want to share these three key strategies because I believe that they're going to help us move into the new year in a way that's going to be, again, hopeful, strategic, and meaningful for our health. So let's start with the first thing that we talked about this year that I believe is very key. We talked about developing a stress reduction plan, creating a stress reduction plan. That's one of the things that I spent a lot of time on at the beginning of the year because with stress reduction, if we have a plan, we have to, hello, Belinda, we want to make sure that we have a plan, right? When we are strategic about what we're doing, when we have clarity about the steps we're going to take to achieve a goal or an outcome, we can make good progress. So, a stress reduction plan is very key. And I want to share with you what I said about that stress reduction plan. Here, let's see if we can pull it up right now. Resentments, the negative thoughts that causes us to be fearful unnecessarily. The negative sorry. That wasn't the clip. That wasn't the clip. Let me please find the correct clip and Then we can go from there. Let's see. Let's see if we can do the correct clip. The second thing that you want to do as you're developing a stress reduction goal is you want to develop a measurable goal, right? You want to develop a goal that is clear and clearly written. So, how do you do that? Well, one thing you're going to do is you're going to clarify what your goal is. You're going to determine what you want to do. I talked about your starting point and your destination previously. You want to know what your destination is, and the goal that you develop will be your destination. How do you write that goal? You're going to use a format that's called SMART goals. Now, people in business, people who work for corporations, students, all have an understanding of SMART goals. A SMART goal is a goal that is written in a certain format. It has, and SMART is an acronym. It stands for, I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. It stands for specific. You want your goal to be specific, meaning you don't want to have a goal that is very general. You can say, I want to reduce my stress. That is a general goal. It is not specific. So you want to have a goal that is specific. You also want it to be measurable. How else will you know what you're doing? How else will you know if you're making progress if it's not measurable? So you want to make sure that there's a component where you can measure how well you are progressing. You also want your goal to be achievable. What does that mean? You want it to be something that you can do, right? Also, you want it to be realistic. I know that some people say they want to be stress free. And I explain to them that it's impossible to be stress free. Our bodies stress is a part of our body function, and we have to have stress. There is actually good stress, and then there's overwhelming stress. So we have to have stress. It's part of who we are, it's what makes us human, and it's what keeps us safe. It keeps us motivated and moving. So to be stress free is not realistic. So, but you want to have an aspect of realism in your stress reduction goal. Finally, you want to have a way to know you want to have it. It must be time bound. That's the last part of the acronym. And time bound means that you want to set a date or an era, something that tells you it's time to end this work. So it must be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. That is what a SMART goal is. So think of it like it's a roadmap, and it will help you not only know the direction that you need to go, it will help with accountability. So there you have it. That's what we talked about earlier this year, developing a plan, something that is clear, concise, and as well as measurable. When you do your SMART goal for next year, you want to be able to follow it. So it has to be something that you can achieve, something that's attainable, and yes, something that has a time limit. It's very important, I think, to develop those goals. Again, when you have a goal, when you have a goal, you have clarity about what you're going to do, as well as you have a way to measure that you've accomplished what you set out to do. Belinda said, yes, clear, concise, smart goals. We have smart goals with when it comes to business, when it comes to our jobs and our work. Why not have a smart goal for our lives as well as our health? Okay. The next thing that we talked about that I believe is very, very important: thought patterns and emotional clutter. Thought patterns and emotional clutter. And I want to play you the clip that I chose for this. Let's get to it. I'm going to start this one all over. There we go. Let's be honest. Emotional clutter wastes your time and your energy, and it causes you to focus on thoughts, feelings, and beliefs that keep you frozen and unable to move. You feel stuck in a place that hurts, and it causes you to feel anxious, depressed, or both of those things. Oftentimes, we're holding on to emotional clutter, and it's just like hoarding, where useless clutter fills the room, preventing enjoyment and peace in our space. In this episode of Stress Talk Live with Marcy. So, emotional clutter and thought patterns. When we talked about thought patterns, we talked about how we can have negative thought patterns. No matter what we see, there's a negative thought attached to it. If someone compliments us, like, "Hey, I really like that dress. It looks so nice on you." There may be a, "Oh, thank you, but," or, "You know what? This thing is so old," or, I just threw it on today because I just didn't know what else to wear. There's a negative connotation in our thinking. And we have to be able to address that, because where our thoughts are, that's where our mood is. If we are thinking positive thoughts, cheerful thoughts, bright and sunny thoughts, our mood is going to go that way. If we are thinking doom and gloom, anger, despair, our mood is going to go that way. I don't know how many of you remember the show Hee Haw. Hee Haw was a show that I watched as a kid. So it's a very, very old show. But on that show, there were a couple of guys who sang a song, and the song was "Gloom, despair, and agony on me. Deep, dark destruction, excessive misery. If it weren't for bad luck, I'd have no luck at all. Gloom, despair, and agony on me," or something to that effect. That's basically all the words to the song. And they were always in this. It was a comedy skit, but they always sang that song. If that's how we're thinking, we're going to have that cloud over us as well. So we want to be aware of our thought patterns. In addition to that, we want to be aware of the emotional clutter, the baggage that we carry. And I talked about how the baggage, how this emotional clutter is very similar to clutter that people have in their homes. Okay, let's, yeah, let me, okay, let me answer this, Belinda. Belinda said, "What's emotional clutter? Those thoughts that no longer serve us." It's not only the thoughts that no longer serve us, Belinda, it's the emotions that no longer serve us. And let me give you an example. And I'm not talking about people who have experienced trauma, right? Trauma that they're working through with a professional. I'm not talking about that. That's a separate. I would put that in a different category. When I'm talking about emotional clutter, I'm talking about emotions that are attached to um, old feelings. Now let me try to give you an example of that. When I was in the third grade, um, when I was in the third grade, I ran for president of my class. And I remember having two kids come up to me and say, "Oh, Marcy, you won. You won. You're the president of our class." And I knew they weren't telling the truth. I knew that they weren't telling the truth. And I said to them, "No, I didn't." Although I had no evidence, I just perceived that I had not won. When we got into the classroom, our teacher announced the who had won the election and who was the class president. For a long time, I harbored anger at those kids for coming to me and saying that because they were trying to fool me. They were trying to make fun of me. I thought they were trying to trick me into believing something that was not true, and they were trying to hurt me. Now, imagine that those feelings being carried through as a young kid, and I still have those feelings as an adult. But I'm taking those same emotions because of an incident like that, and I'm putting it on other incidents, other situations, other events that have occurred in my life. That's what I'm talking about clutter. Those feelings no longer serve me, and they really didn't serve me then. I, you know, I held that on for a little bit for the rest of the school year, but they don't serve me. They didn't serve me then, but I held on to them because it was like a defense for me. So when I'm talking about emotional clutter, I'm actually talking about those emotions. Thank you. Those emotions that we're holding on to that no longer serve us, that are not really protecting us, that are not encouraging us, that are not doing anything positive in our lives. Because when we have emotional clutter, it is just like filling up your house with a lot of stuff. You can't find things, you don't know what you have, and it takes up a lot of space. Those emotions take up a lot of space and it uses a lot of energy. So that's what I'm talking about when I refer to emotional clutter. So we have one more strategy that I'd like for you to take into the new year. And that strategy is not what you can do, but yeah, it is. It's basically what you can do. It is self care. I want you to take good care of yourself. Now, let's go to this clip. Steps for women over 40. The first thing that I'd like to share with you is that self care covers 6 domains. And these domains were developed by Dr. Lisa Butler and her team. They're a group of researchers who wanted to look at how people in service industries, providers, accessed self-care and how they could incorporate self-care into their day. And what they determined is that there are 6 domains of self-care. Now, these 6 domains were ranked in order, and I'm going to share those 6 with you very quickly. First, there was physical, and they determined that the physical domain was the primary domain because all of the other domains were based on physical, right? Anything that we do is based on our physical self, how we feel, how we function, how we move, our health. So physical was number one. That was the primary domain. The second was professional. Well, we all know how much our professional lives play in terms of our overall lives, right? We spend a third of our life at work, talking about work, taking care of work tasks. Even when we're not at work, we're probably talking about work, thinking about work, planning for work, getting ready for work. Work plays a major role in our lives. And so that was the second. The third was relational. And this is how we get along with people, our social circles, our family, our friends, our relationships in our workplace, our relationships in our community. In the 1950s, there was a research study that was done in a rural community in Pennsylvania, and it was conducted by a cardiologist. And what he determined is that when we are in a connected environment, when we are connected socially, when we have a responsive community, when we belong to a community of people, um, caring people, people of whom we are connected to, we are healthier. That was the outcome of this study. He was looking at this community in rural Pennsylvania because he was curious as to why the men didn't have heart disease. None of these men had heart disease at a time when men were having heart disease. He couldn't understand that, so he wanted to study it. And again, he found that because this community was so close knit, because they had shared histories and had shared commonalities, because they supported each other, they were healthier. And that has really transcended through the years. When we feel a belonging, a connection with other people, and that connection is strong, when we are supportive and when we receive support from those we care about, we are healthier. We're just healthier. Okay. The next domain was emotional. And this deals with how we respond and react to things in our lives, our emotions. Do they make them sad? Do they make us sad? Do they make us happy? Are we elated? Are we downtrodden? Our emotions. The next one was psychological. And psychological deals with our mental health. It's how we are able to interact in the world around us, how we are able to function in the world. It's about our mental health. And then finally, spiritual. There's the spiritual domain. So all six of these domains play a role in our self care. And because of that, we need to be aware of the six domains, and we also need to be aware of how we balance, how we are caring for ourselves in each domain. Yes, we need to be aware of how we balance and how we care for ourselves in each domain. As you are going into 2024, develop a stress reduction plan that will include being mindful and thoughtful of your thought patterns and the emotional clutter that you may have, and then include all six of the domains in your plan. Self care is not just something that you do when you're home, it is something that should occur all the time throughout the day, wherever you are. Well, that's it for now. I'm so glad that you joined me. I am so happy that you've taken the time to spend with me here on Stress Talk Live. Before we go, I want to leave you with this, and it's just called the Meta Prayer. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be in peace. That's all for now. I'm Marcelyn Bailey. Happy New Year to you all. Happy holidays. I'll see you next year. Take good care.